Okay, so a few things I want to talk about. Some of them are kind of like, oh, see, this is what I was talking about. And there is kind of a lot. I don't know. I'll see if I can keep it straight. This whole thing now with the sleeping, it just gets weirder and weirder, man. And now I am seeing, though, this is happening to a lot of people. So it could be happening to some of y'all. But yeah, it's weird. Like this, the sleeping thing, it's just so weird. So I've been up since 2:30, but it really is something about time to me is just becoming like sleeping time, awake time, eating time, creating time. It feels a lot more fluid and less controlled. And another thing too, I was thinking so much about, because my daughter's coming, I'm gonna pick her up tomorrow, so I probably won't record all weekend. But I have so many videos. There's plenty to watch. And a lot of them have a lot more healing than others. I try and really focus on the healing, but it's so much about the awakening, because awakening is part of the healing. It's all about consciousness and energy. So anyways, in older videos and stuff, there's, talking about healing and stuff. Vortex, you may run out of stuff to watch. You have to rewatch. But anyways, so one of the things I have a whole bunch of things. The waking up, there's just so many weird things. Like, I don't know. I'm seeing other people talking about, I'm seeing though a lot of people are more in the early stages where they're just like starting to notice like they can't eat meat anymore, or it's like, oh, this is really gross. And so they're kind of going through that part. And then, and that can be really versatile. That's not something that you necessarily have to do. What you have to do is listen to your soul, what your soul's telling you, not what it is, like what your body, I don't know, because there's so many things going on, because it's about desires, emotions, hormones, mastery, and then because desires, because you think, well, you've got to control some, because like otherwise everybody who finds children attractive could just do what they want with them. So there has to be limitations, there has to be parameters and everything, and there has to be standards set, and we're the ones that are going to be setting the standard for this new world. I know this one, it seems like, oh my God, without this one, what will we do? And that's the place that a lot of people are at. And then I just keep seeing, like, it's my daughter's 30th birthday. All of the parties and celebrations and stuff. And, and she's sick again. And I don't even want her to be flying, especially while we have all these events going on. Now the news is coming right out and saying they're calling it an asteroid, but the sun's been blocking it. No, you've been putting the fake sun in front of it so that people can't see it. And then you've been spraying everything to block it. Because in 2016, I was showing videos, pictures. Because I was on Facebook. This is so far beyond. At this point, there was very limited over how many people were awake. Very, very limited. Like, the majority of people definitely thought I had just lost my rocker. And then it went totally with the, getting a brain injury. So then the things I was talking about, people were just like, oh, well, so what happened when you get a brain injury? They go crazy. And so that is part of it. But a lot of it is, it really opens your mind to so many more things, especially if you do your healing. A lot of people give up when they hit a crisis. You can't ever give up. You push through, and then you figure out what you're made of. And you usually will be impressed. Like, damn, I can't believe I did that. And even when all seemed lost, even when I wanted to give up, even when I wanted to crawl in a hole, I still got up and did what I had to do. And so, and then push yourself, challenge yourself to, learn or do better or whatever. Like, I might not be able to go in and fix every single thing in my brain, but I've also seen, like, it doesn't matter. What matters is my communication with the other side, because they're always guiding me anyways. Like, I don't need to necessarily know how to add up a bunch of numbers. Just like the other day when I was off on the date, they make sure somebody comes in and tells me, like, they are on my side. They're always helping me in all different ways, so I don't stress. Like in the beginning, I stressed more about the loss of having deficits because I was no longer, normal or perfect, or however we identify ourselves. And so that was having to go through that loss. I was different now, and then I was losing everything. I was losing my job, I was losing my friends, I was losing my house, I was losing my identity, I was losing everything all at the same time. And so it was it was like going to hit rock bottom. And it wasn't even because I was doing something wrong, but I was spiritually doing something wrong because I wasn't living by my best. I just saw this girl, and the one who was talking about the horrible situation that she had when she went on that trip with that guy. I can't remember where it was now. It was somewhere in Asia. It wasn't Thailand, but it was someplace over there, and she went with that fella. And then they got in a big fight, and he destroyed the Airbnb. She kicked him out, made him leave. And then she had everything happen. She got bit by a dog. She had to go to the hospital. Someone stole her money. She got in an accident on a scooter. Like, she had everything going wrong. She couldn't leave the country because it was going to cost too much, and she didn't have enough money. And so she was just... And, she was in despair for that time. It pushes you to have to heal. And then I guess she was also taking Xanax on the reg. And so then she found out, well, she's addicted, because when she ran out, she went into withdrawals. So she was withdrawing off drugs. So then she had to come back, go into detox, and do all her healing. And then she became in alignment with a higher vibration person that she was in alignment with. And so she was just like, oh my gosh, I could see it. It's because you did your healing. You changed your vibration. You moved towards people who are vibing high. And then, and when you start vibing high, you're not going to abuse other people. You're going to be very respectful of other people. You're very mindful of your own behavior. You're self-reflective. Like, there's a lot of things as you heal that you stop thinking it's everybody else, and you take responsibility and control. And so that's why it says very empowering. You take your control back from thinking everybody's controlling your emotions. You take it back, and it's total empowerment, I'm telling you. And so, and then when you realize, like, even if somebody triggers you, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to give you that. That's your problem. I don't really care because I'll still have little triggers. Like, people say something to me, I'll give me that little snap trigger, and that's where you catch yourself and go, okay, wait a minute. Why am I reacting like this? Oh, so somehow they've hit my ego. They made me feel like I'm not good enough. But does their opinion really matter? No, my opinion matters. And everybody has a different opinion. And if you don't appreciate yourself, well, who the hell else is gonna? So if you don't put yourself on a pedestal, nobody else is gonna. And so I just walk myself through it. And that's why I'm always saying it's more of the catching it as it's coming. But anyways, I have been doing this for a while. I got my brain injury in 2009. And so, I don't, even if I'm frustrated and stuff, I just don't want to seem like I'm shaming anybody. Like, I've been going through this for a while with no pressure. Like, a lot of people are getting a lot more pressure, and I didn't have any pressure. And so, I can explain to people how to process and go through the process, because I had to do it, and I had to do it in a very solitary fashion. And another thing that I was really hitting home this morning was that, that whole brain injury thing, I mean, I know it's part of my destiny and stuff like that, but it really, to me, it more impacts the energy of when I got it with timing and stuff, of when I started speaking out about the medical tyranny and the corruption behind our Western medical situation, and the judicial that backs it up and stuff, which I didn't even know about all the media and stuff. Like, I thought it leaned certain ways, but I didn't know it's totally manipulated by the same fucking person, who's, hey, do this one on this one, do this one on this one. I just want to make sure that we're all covered. And they're doing that right now, and it's so obvious. And these people who just get all caught up in the red and the blue, it's like, oh my God, people. You're so caught up in what color that you're not seeing the truth. It's going on everywhere. It's in everything. It's not just that. I'm telling you, the more you heal and the less you play the game, the more you see. The more stuff is crystal clear, the more it just opens your mind and you see clearer and clearer. And it's my own frustration, that's my own lack of patience and stuff that I have to work on and go through. And you have to, get your ego in check when you start feeling like you need to save everybody else, to not feel that their soul is just as valid as yours. Their soul knows just as well what it's doing, just as well as you do. There's a 3-year-old kid right now named Eli, and he's out all over the internet just telling people he's saying stuff like what I talk about. People think because somebody's 3 years old and the years here, that means they're really just young soul. No. Very old souls come in as children. Everybody has to go through the same process, and everybody's soul goes through all different experiences. And yeah, you see a lot of souls here who are like, I'm never doing this again. And maybe they don't do it a lot. Maybe they just wanted to get in on this ascension, they wanted to go in and do this. There's all different reasons why souls are here, but there can be, specific things of why some people are like, I'm never doing this again, because it is hard. And they do have a lot of stuff to learn. And then I think people who are like me, I know like what I am at my core, and I am like a hummingbird, and it is like, I go from experience to experience. I don't think I ever stop living lives. I'm a nonstop going and, going in to play my part, look for something to do. I'm just going in for the experience all the time, even in this life at night when I'm not, and when I'm sleeping, I'm just out there all over the place. So yeah, and that is probably, the souls like me who have a lot of experience, that could be like why some are here. And then the other ones that are like, I hate reincarnating, and they just want to stay in I don't know, I think of it more of being the abyss, more of like where the watchers are, more of where universal consciousness rests as a view. But I mean, you got to keep in mind, they can come right in. They can come right into the room. And, they can come up and get close. And sometimes you may feel them. You may feel like a little tickle on your neck or something. And it isn't. The thing is people think because they think we're flesh and blood, they think of it as being intrusive. But it's not like that at all. It is so much like going to, I'm not going to say the Getty, but of course the Getty comes to mind because there's a lot of stuff coming out on that shit. But so when you go around to museums and like whatever the art, like the ones where I was saying, like the science museums where you have the windows of time that you can go in and look into, that's what we are. Oh, and this is something that they have been bringing me ever since I had that vision, ever since they showed me, which is so cool. I can't ever do names, but the other person in the comments when we were talking and you had the same vision. Well, now since I saw this, happens to me all the time. They show me something in my head or tell me something. And then after I see it or understand it or talk about it, I don't know, they'll just start bringing me evidence. They'll start bringing me all this stuff and more information about it and stuff. It's trippy. But so that vision that they had given me, and I can see it, it's so perfect. And about all of it looked kind of like honeycomb, and how every reality is so close, and how it's the one you're in is the one that's lit up, the one that you're focused on. And there's tons and tons. And so I had seen this video and it's talking something about this black box. This is a whole long thing. There's no way I could explain it all. But it's about putting an apple in a black box. And over time, it will degenerate. And then if you just keep leaving it, the atoms and everything has to keep re-going through this cycle. So at some point, it will become a whole apple again. It will just continue to go through the cycle. And when it was doing this, this whole little experiment thing and talking about it, and all this metaphysical stuff is what I would call it. But then it showed that same thing that is all of the realities that are, creating. And that is why when we look out into the sky, we see stars sparkling. It is all of the realities. It's just realities everywhere. And it is like a plasma form that it moves. And this one is a more contained place because of the energetic pollution, I would call it here, because it is such a low vibration, is what people think of as hell. I'm telling you, this is the vibration we're at. I can't imagine going lower than this. If other people can, I don't want to go there with you. So this is as low as I ever want to go. But anyways, they keep showing me that, and then just constant confirmation, someone else getting the picture. And before, for so long, when my eyes start going bad, which they keep getting better and better, I think they're getting better all the time, but there's definitely still interference in my eyes. It's still a ways to go. Oh, and there's another guy now that he's having people sign up for his course, and his course is free. But he's another one who wore glasses, and then he started using herbs and stuff like that, and healed his eyes. Now his eyes are back to perfect. It is all, and in the glasses, the whole thing is just to deteriorate your eyes faster. Like everything they do is to bring us down more and more and more and more and more. It is all about control too. But anyways, so when my eyes were going bad in the beginning, I was talking about, like, I can see it's like a honeycomb. Everything is like a honeycomb. And then the way they showed me that, it was so much more, where everything is touching like the cells of a body. And so when I was seeing it with my eyes, I was seeing it in huge form. And then with in my vision that they give me, then I see it in small form from like way, way back. But that is the only thing with their whole thing of how close they get to the image. You aren't really real. It's an image, and how close they get. You are exactly like when people watch a movie and people are watching a hologram. And, they mess with our minds, and that is why I think it's hard concepts for people to wrap around. But your energy is energy consciousness that's just out in the universe. It's in this plasma. And you move through this body, this solar system, by your frequency, your energetic frequency that you put out. And in order to expand it, you have to learn and grow. You have to learn and grow somehow. You can learn and grow from other people's experiences, but when you understand what is a soul, you're not really going places. You're not really in a body in that sense. You are gone into it's like going into a dream. It's like entering other realms with your mind of different vibrations and stuff. And so you can be, your form isn't even a physical form. It's like what they have shown me about. It's like voices. It's like energy. And that is why we focus ourselves so we can see ourselves. So we envision ourselves. And then with the other consciousness, we're up there, we are communicating all the time and creating. And we can put ourselves into different form. You can put yourselves into form and move about. But if you are just out in the abyss, and then, so everything is different realms, but all of it's a state of consciousness. Because it is all just of the frequency of the matter and the atoms and stuff. And it's the density. It's like the density of the plasma. But there's nothing that's more real than anything else. It's all like an illusion. But it's all as real as it can be. Like it's so hard to explain, because the only way you can really understand it is once you reach the level of understanding, and then it just comes to you naturally. And the way I think that continues to happen is you just continue to follow your breadcrumbs, continue letting your soul open up your path to show you. And things just continue to make sense, and it continues to show you more, unless you get stuck. You get stuck, oh no, that's crazy. Then you got to go, okay, so why is that crazy? So who do I think it would be thinking I'm crazy. Like, you got to start breaking it down like that to what holds you back. Who am I trying to please? Who am I worried about is going to think I'm crazy? And that helped me a lot when certain people stopped talking to me. I mean, it hurt my feelings. I had to go through all that. I had to process that. And then, process that how much because you feel very disrespected. Like, people just, especially when it goes along with how many people call you crazy and talk down to you and stuff like that. And so then when certain people stopped talking to me, it kind of opened me up, like, okay, well, that was easy. Like, they don't want to talk to me just if I say anything, if I have any disagreement, and I'm out. So then it was like, once I was out, it was like, okay, well, I guess now we'll see what I really have to say. And boy, it sure did start coming out. And it was a lot of stuff that people don't, they don't want me to talk about. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to know. Like, it's trippy too, is like in this whole thing, is how you start seeing how people really don't know you. They don't know you at your core. They don't understand you or anything. But that is all in, it's no shame on anybody. It is all about the shallow world. Like, you just keep seeing more and more and more. It's the shallow world and how people are trained to be. And it is, but we as a species have to want more. We have to have a higher expectation. And that is like, goes right back to that whole thing of like, I have to trust, when I see people asleep, when I see certain things people are doing, that I have to just go, their soul knows, their soul has a plan. I'm not here to save the world. I don't have to go around and wake each person up. I can just be out there and keep speaking my truth. And when my truth speaks to you, then, then we have kind of an energetic merging or something. And it is all of the way everything is touching. So energetically, the stuff keeps spreading and spreading. There's no stopping it. It shocks me. There was some stuff that they showed me so early on, and I don't know if I'd ever talked about before, but like they would say, like, tell me a certain word and say it. And then, so you say it, and then all of a sudden, a few weeks later, you hear everybody saying it. That's true. Try it out. It's weird, and they showed me that all the time. But and that's why I said, as when I very first started, even if people aren't seeing me, I know it's important to get the stuff out on the airwaves. And I know it will travel in that way. You put the energy out there, it will travel. And that's one of the things that trips me out so much, is how I see people talking about things that I have been talking about. Even today, I saw this one spiritual girl, and she started saying, you guys, you got to start listening to people you wouldn't listen to normally. Everybody's holding messages for you. You got to start, even if you think that they don't have anything for you and you're different than, that whole thing. And that is what I've been saying the whole time. That is something that really helped me in 2016, when I started going in and listening to people who I never listened to before. When I started listening to conservatives, when I started listening to what they were saying about Hillary, and I still didn't agree with them about Trump at that time. At that time, I thought, that was conservatives were mostly religious, and I thought, it's just more of their looking for a savior kind of thing. And so I just took it as like, I don't know, that they had hope with this guy. But there were certain lines as a progressive liberal that he crossed where it's like, oh, I think he's kind of cringe, but, I know that we have to shake things up. Things have to change. And if that is, this fucking moose going through the China shop is what we got to do, then I guess that's what we got to do. And that it was kind of my attitude. But I would still get outraged when he would say crazy shit. I would go on Twitter. That was the only thing I even used Twitter for in the beginning, was just to talk shit to him. And so then when it wasn't until 2020 is when it captured, like, I was at home, like, you didn't have anything you could do, and my interest was very piqued as soon as they started saying stuff on the medical front that I knew was lies. And it really was curious, like, why are they saying this? Like, shouldn't these be the top medical So why would they be saying this? It doesn't make any sense. And so that's when it caught my attention and started paying attention. But that is when I saw what the media was doing. And that is when I felt stupid. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe they're sitting there saying, they're turning the color orange. So that, and then calling him Orange Man. So we'll start catching on, like, we catch on and then we're bullies too and stuff. It was really, when I saw through it, I was really kind of I was disgusted with myself, but I was just disgusted about the whole thing. And that is why I went in and apologized. And that's when everything went crazy on my account. That's when I started losing my account and all of that. So that was early in 2020. So I've been speaking out about this stuff for so long. In 2016, when I was putting those pictures out, showing, and that is when I was just showing this big planet. And I don't think I had already heard of Narubu or Wormwood or any of that stuff at that point. And I don't remember what it was. There was a reason, because there was at first the girl who told me she saw that on Facebook that my cousin was a scientist, and she said she wanted to ask him about the trails of the chems up in the sky. And so I asked him, and he made like I was the biggest conspiracy theory idiot he'd ever heard. I was like, dude, I'm fucking just asking something somebody asked me. And so she sent me all of this information about it. And so I started watching these videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, fuck. So then I started paying attention to the sky, and I started taking videos all the time of them spraying. And I started being like, my gosh, this is crazy. And let's see, I don't even think at that point, no, it was later. It was about 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year later is when I started seeing everything three-dimensional. I was still seeing it like I was in it at this point, and I was taking all pictures of the clouds and all this stuff, and that is when I started seeing all of these ships up in the sky. That's when I got my telescope, and I was seeing ships all up in the sky, and I was like, these are ships. These are not stars. These aren't stars. These are colors. These are and they're moving and stuff. Like, what the hell? And so I started doing that. And then my grandson and I would go out and look at him. And but then I got kicked out of that house from the whole divorce thing and stuff. And so I had to leave that house. And so that's when we went and got that rental. And in that rental, for that 6 month period, that is when I started seeing things three-dimensional. In that period too. So the only because I was this high school friend who had asked me to ask my cousin. And so then I started paying attention to the sky. In the pictures, I started seeing this big purple thing. It looked like a giant planet behind the sun. Only it's huge, huge, huge. And so I was like taking pictures, and I was saying something, and people, that's when, on Facebook, this friend of my brother started totally attacking me and telling me I was so crazy and I was ridiculous. Those are flares and stuff. And it's like, or, flash flares or something. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. And so then my Facebook got taken down, got hacked, weirdly enough. So I was removed off Facebook. So as soon as I started talking about awakening stuff, and I was kicked off Facebook right away. And then, but in that time, that is when I started having flashes of past lives and stuff. And I started having all of this. I could see them all the time, and they were constantly talking to me. And then they get really excited when I would see and talk to them and stuff. And so, it was like all of these spirits, all these guides and stuff, all of a sudden were around me, and they started having distinct personalities and stuff. And I could tell which one was around me, and they had certain things that they wanted to talk about and stuff. And so I started just having all this like epiphanies all the time. I was like, whoa. And that is when I started realizing that it was crimes against humanity being done to us. And I started being like, weirded out about people not murdering because the Bible told them not to, instead of just knowing it in their heart. And like all these different things they kept pointing out to me. And I had so many Native American ones. And then I was being shown my connection to that. And then I had this old Asian lady, and then they had shown me that one thing where the connection to that. And so, there it kept being more expansion, more expansion. And as when I went and did that QHHT, and when I went and did the QHHT, then I saw even more. That life was really, and that is when I saw all these giants. And the interaction with the giants coming from space with the people, and that I was more well-to-do, like was definitely not a peasant, but it ended up getting me murdered because it seemed that the giants and the fancier people had developed some sort of relationship that the peasants or a different, as a soldier is who killed me. So, and it was like they came into our palace. So I think maybe it have been two different kingdoms or something, fighting over power, and maybe the giants were helping. I'm not sure. I didn't know the whole story. I just saw some of the things. But when you see them, it's always trippy when you see them. So the QHHT thing. And then when I went to that one, those people, that girl was already involved with some people who were doing like Reiki and stuff. So she invited me over to these meditations. And so I went over in there and had this whole group of people who would get together and do Reiki and meditate and stuff. And, but there was some weird stuff. Like it kind of seemed almost like this guy was trying to build a cult. And then somebody else told me, who had gone to the group, and told me some stuff. But it ended up that I had moved. And so I kind of moved so far away from them that I kind of lost contact. But I still see the one person who's always in my emails. But I mean, there's people, you just hear a lot of weird stories, man. And then I just say, be careful who you follow. Seriously, that is a really important thing. And not, everybody has different information. I'm just saying where people, I think in this time of transformation, so many people are so lost that they still use somebody else's vision to help them identify themselves. And so that is kind of what you got to break free from. But since it's part of the process, you just got to be careful whose vision you're looking through. And to me, you need to be looking through someone's vision who is focused on acceptance, loving, and unity, because that is where we're headed. Anybody who is telling people about other things, that is where I say, like, they're still in their process. Like the one girl who I had just was talking about, that she was sitting there talking like, I don't even know. It was like, it's okay to be a sex worker, because the other girls aren't even getting paid for it, and they're doing the same thing. But so if you want to get paid for it, more power to you, whatever. And then to me, it's like, you got to, part of the awakening, part of the spiritual transformation is to realize your body is a temple and to treat it as such. Not everybody gets to enter the temple, and your energy is sacred. You don't just share it with everybody, and you certainly don't sell it. And so, but I'm not shaming anybody who does it. They're in their process of learning that. And I could have very well been a prostitute, and that's how I learned it. We learn things that's imprinted into us. We don't have to come in and learn the same lessons over and over unless you didn't get the lesson. Like that's when my daughter, when she got suicidal, I said, you don't want to do, that's not your out, because that could be what happens every time when you reach this part in the life that you're like, it's too hard, and you opt out, and then you have to come back and keep doing that same thing over and over because you can't get over the hump. It's not like you're forced to. You will do it. It's part of your soul's imprint, part of your soul's drive to want to do better, to conquer, to be better, to overcome. It's just part of the transformation. It's part of the growth. It's part of the apple in the box recreating its atoms all the time. And so anyways, when I had just said that, and I had been talking about like people are exposing so much of their true self, their true nature. It can't be hidden anymore. It's being exposed. And it is, sadly enough, it's exposed to most other people before themselves first. And so then, but that is the higher impact on the ego when you know you've been exposed, when there is no hiding. Everybody sees you for who you are. And that is when, you really have to accept yourself, but you can't accept anybody else until you accept yourself. So it's hugely important. We have to be pushed into doing this so that we can really get down to the nuts and bolts of it, so that we can see, like, it's okay. We're just here to learn. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. Like, this is just a dream. We're just experiencing. We're just watching. We're just in a movie, so we can see who we are, so we can understand more about ourselves. And so, anyway, there's never any shame. The whole thing, since I'm talking about healing all the time, is to point things out so people can look at things for themselves and start seeing them through new perspectives, because that's how we have to all bring in more perspective instead of less. Less perspective is what keeps us controlled. And we need more perspective and more acceptance and more love and more unity and more exploration, more fun. So, anyways, so I had just seen that video the other day. And so then I was like, it's just more of these people who are out there, saying that they're spiritual guide people who seem to be guiding people in a strange direction for true spiritual, it isn't like love and acceptance comes to my head, but it is more of a purity, because if you are selling any part of yourself, it hurts inside of you. So it hurts inside of your soul. And so you're doing yourself harm when you sell yourself out. And it's a hard thing to overcome. That's like, when people all just shame people who sold their soul or whatever. That is a hard thing for them to face, of what was my soul worth? How cheap did I sell myself out, and for what? Because there is nothing here that can have any match to the value of your soul. And so it's like you're lowballing yourself. And that is a hard thing for people to wake up to, but it is part of the transformation. It's part of what some people wanted to come here and experience, because it was what they are purging out in their soul. And we need everybody to be purging out all different things, because that is what makes the whole solar system work, is that we all work together and we're all always healing. And I know I've got way too many things, but the people, anyways, when they're up close to you, they aren't being invasive. They're just looking, like scooting up in a microscope. And then so that girl, yesterday I saw a video, and this is funny too, because I've seen a lot of people do these. Even that guy who I said was the hot spiritual guy, who was always up there just like, I just love myself. He'll get real close, and he's got really pretty eyes, and he's very handsome. Like, I imagine he's got girls throwing themselves at him all the time. And he was taking full advantage of that, and then he was calling himself out and saying he was going to step back, he was going to get off, because now he's recognized what he's been doing and stuff. I was like, good, because it's not just about free sex. It's about understanding that you are a temple. You are your own sacred energy. It's not just to go around sharing with any Tom, Dick, or Harry, And so... but that people do that because they're looking for someone to connect with, to have some sort of a feeling. People are looking for something, but they just don't know where to look. They don't realize it's all inside, because that seems like the empty place. But when you start really going in and asking your questions, like, what do you need? What do you need? And that's why, like, I go in and make a dinner for myself. I'm gonna go all out. I'm not going to just cut corners. I'm not going to just get a lean cuisine and stick it in the microwave. No. My cooking has expanded so much since being here and being single. It's crazy. And a lot of times I'll cook stuff and I'll be like, dang, I wish somebody was here to taste this. This is so fucking good. And so, that's why I'm always saying, no matter what's going on, keep expanding yourself. Like, they show me so much stuff with Anne Frank, to put in perspective to me. And it is, I think, because she's always been a significant person in my mind. But that, should she have ever given up? Should she have just, No matter how hostile the situation, I think probably because I get whiny about this situation where I'm at, and especially why Stella whines at me all day long and is uncomfortable. And I just, now I'm already having to do a fire and burn wood. And so I started looking at my wood and I started thinking, oh my God. So yeah, I doubt I will have enough wood if I have to continue to burn. And no telling how long they're going to do this. If this carries on, if we don't come to a resolution soon, which I can't imagine that this could go on that much longer because of how many things they have up. I mean, we've got several wars brewing. We've got the diesel situation. We've got the vote situation. We've got so many things going. I mean, I can't imagine. And then plus we have this deadline, this line in the sand with Joe Bucks. So, there's got to be some give. But I also don't want to be stupid because there has been so much where I kind of banked on this being over with a lot sooner. Like last year, I didn't even go get a bunch of firewood. I swear to God. I just really thought things were going to go differently. And so anyways, now I was looking at my firewood and I was like, oh my God. And then, I looked at my weather because it was so fucking cold. And last year when I kept doing those experiments and checking the temperature to the thing, and it wasn't matching what they said, what it felt like outside. And so I knew that all of that stuff was being manipulated, just like with the sun. I knew that was like all these different things I started paying attention to and doing my own little experiments. And so yesterday it was so freaking cold. Like I said, I was doing a fire and stuff, and it plus just because it's such a moist heat cold, and it is so hard on her arthritis. And so my mom was the one who was like, started a fire because I had the heater going, which that thing, I swear to God, it causes more buzzing in my ears. But, and I did turn off the entire breaker system yesterday for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And it didn't change it. It was just as loud a buzzing in my head. So just our own individual houses. I think that's why they want to keep us so jam-packed on top of each other. And right now, why they have so many housing developments going in all over the place, which I know is part of the money laundering system, is why they're doing that. It makes absolutely no sense. Everybody's gone homeless, but let's put in 1 million subdivisions all over the fucking planet real quick. And it's absurd. Just all of their absurdity. And then these loud machines they have out there going all day long as they're just clear cutting the fucking forest, I guess, and just plowing through the hillside. And all of the beeping and plowing. Oh my God, it's so fucking loud. And that adds to the buzzing. So I think that is part of what they're trying to do. And then yesterday there was all these trucks that kept going out here. I don't know if it's a Ziply truck. I don't know what the hell. It's so frustrating. Especially, I thought I was being way out from nowhere. Like I have to drive quite a ways to get somewhere. And it is this much chaos. People are always like, oh, you got to get out in the forest. You got to ground yourself. Dude, I live in the forest. I go outside barefoot all the time. I go out and touch my trees. I go sit out. Right now, how in the hell can you go out and sit outside when they're spraying you with chemicals and the noise pollution is make your head pop off? Like, is insane. Like, where can you go to get away from this? Every time I hear somebody talk about, like, there was a girl who was talking about she's moved to a small village in Turkey. I was like, damn, I want to go to the small village in Turkey. They have all fresh foods. She said it's so fresh, it kind of freaked her out in the beginning. All fresh food. Everybody's very connected and kind and has each other's back and in each other's business. So, that's a real community. And that is what, I know we're going to move towards that. We're going to move out of this disconnected city life, where everybody's out to get each other. But anyways, and then when I see these people talking up in the Appalachians, it's like, oh man, I want to go. Or out on a beach. It's like, God, I want to go. And I swear to God, I really thought, I would already have been out there. I thought things were going to go so much faster. It's like, I don't know. Just the slowness of it and how so tedious. But I really think over the next few weeks, we're going to see a lot of action. But anyways, back to this girl. So I've seen a lot of these people do these videos. This will be my last video, just like the oversexed spiritual guru. And so he had done the same thing. I've seen a whole bunch of people do this. And so she did this yesterday, and she said, and she was freaking out. And she started being like, just going off about people, you better be getting your shit together. She was going on the diesel thing, and so she's just going on and on about there. That means there's not going to be anything. Nothing can get to you. It is, everything will shut down. And so she's just going on that. And so she goes, I'm going off here. This is so shallow. This is so ridiculous. And she starts going on. She goes all full in on that. Then she starts telling everybody else that they need to do it. What you need to do, you need to do this, you need to do that. You better get off of here. You're just shallow. You're just this, you're just that. I'm going to survive this thing. I'm getting out. I'm getting my stuff prepared. I'm ready for this and all that stuff. And this whole almost a minute and a half of it is just her ridiculing other people for being on there and being so shallow and not being prepared, and having a following isn't worth it and all this stuff. And but that's what I'm saying is people all have their different priorities. It's all by intention. And she was obviously looking for something else in that. And so then, this overreaction and having to put other people down. Everybody needs to do what I do. And that is a part of what people keep doing too. They are not comfortable at all just doing stuff for themselves, and it's about themselves. And everybody gets their own process to everything. They want everybody to do what they're doing. And so that one, and then that's the other one I've been talking about, the Alex Serves Tea one, the one that all these girls seem to be out to get. Like I can't even tell you how many videos that I'll see where they're talking about this. Like you're going through videos and somebody will be talking about it, but it's a one that a lot of people talk about, and so I've seen her videos in the beginning. I even shared some of her videos, which they're probably taken down now, I don't know, but I had shared some of her videos in the beginning because to me it seemed like she was confirming some of the stuff that I had been talking about. So I shared a bunch of videos of people who were saying the same thing as me. And so then but then when her videos would pop up all the time when I had followed her. And then I started seeing like, she says things that I don't agree with spiritually. She is behind of mine. Like she's talking about things that I've known about for a really long time, and she's leaving things out. And so I kind of found it irritating. So I was like, oh, I need to just not follow her because I don't want to be irritated. I don't want somebody pushing my buttons, so it's just like, just to unfollow them. And so I didn't keep seeing all her videos, but she kept blowing up more and more and getting more and more popular and has a huge following. But in that, there became these girls, apparently, who were out to get her. And I don't even know how these groups form. So weird. And it's such a thing on TikTok. These groups form and they start bullying these people. People are actually killing themselves over these bullies. And so yesterday, the video, what I had seen was a girl who I follow all the time, and she's always talking about the detoxing and with their kids. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that she talks about too, with the hair loss and all the different things. She's the single mom that I had said, she said she gave me a code, and I was like, no, you keep it. So it was one of her videos. So normally that's what she's talking about, even when she's talking so much about the detoxing and stuff, because when she had very first started, I guess she was talking about recovery. And so then she had a group form from that. And then when she started talking about detoxing, the recovery group came in and shamed her and told her that she was not being appropriate now. If she's going to be on there, she needs to be talking about recovery, which to me, that's almost like a handler. But anyway, so then she felt really bad. Like she's she seems like a super sweet, sensitive girl. And so, she's still in her process of, building her. It's kind of like it's kind of like, unity with your divine masculine is when you can step in and stand up for yourself better, but that took me a long time. So, and she's young. And so then but she's doing a video. So this was pretty, assertive. And you could tell like the tension that she was saying, but she was very triggered by this because of the bullying situation. And there's actually adults killing themselves over the horrendous bullying that's going on. And so she was saying something to this creator. So it was a stitch, stitches when they just take a little clip out of a video. So I only saw like a quick second of this one video, and then she goes and starts talking, and it's like lecturing this person whose video it is. And then the video, so I could see the one girl who had a green screen who was showing Alex's page. So the bully was down here, and then she's showing Alex talking about something. And it was something that a lot of people were talking about right then. Oh, it was a video of a little girl. I talked about the little girl whose mom was showing that she said we have 100 days to live. That little girl. And so Alex was showing, because that's all I could see in the video for that quick second was that little girl, Alex, and then the bully. So apparently, from what this girl who I follow was saying to the bully was, you guys did this to Alex. Y'all were so jealous or so triggered or whatever. You thought you were protecting her and protecting the world from this girl. And so you all gang up on her, all bully her, get her account taken down, get her account removed. She had over 1 million followers. And they went and got her account removed. And when they were all doing this before, when I had seen Alex reacting that one time, she was making a point of like that she is Hispanic. And so ultimately they're doing like this hate crime bullying on this girl. And she's some sort of Latin, I think it's Colombia or something. But anyways, so she was, she was being bullied by these people. And I don't know what all goes on, how they do it. I don't get it. I don't even get why people put energy into this. But this one girl was saying, and now you're coming out and saying you're worried about her killing herself. And so now you've got to further attack her. It's not enough you got her account removed. Now you're going after her more. Like, when are you going to stop? When is this going to end? And don't sit here like you're some sort of hypocrite. Like, she was going all in on this girl. But that is where everything is being exposed. It's being shown. Because why? Why would you go and attack somebody else? Like, now it's about you. Now you just exposed who you are. Now you've just shown the world that you are a bully. Like, what is it that triggered you with this girl? Were you just jealous because she was reaching more people? And even if she is building a cult, that is up to the people involved. It's not up to the outsider. The lessons are between the people involved. Anybody who's going to follow somebody like that, there's a lesson there for them. It's something for them to go in and learn. And it's a whole group lesson. Is it now this girl who interfered? I'm sure she's just driven them all closer. I'm sure that they have other platforms that they're meeting. I mean, you don't build 100 or 1 million, over 1 million followers and then just disappear. That, they'll find her and they'll continue to work on their thing. And now, now they'll see like the world's out to get them. You push them even probably further into their cult world mentality, like it's them against the world, that everybody else is out and everybody else is stupid and nobody else can see what they can see. And it is about this, like, why does that girl think she needs to make the rules for anybody? That is part of the problem with the people who are trapped in the religious paradigm, thinking that they need to make the rules for everybody else. No, there is a creator, and we all are going to get to that relationship in our own way. My whole thing is don't go through a third party. Go through you and the creator. There's not all these rules and stuff. Like the only rules are the rules that you create. That's the whole thing with all ceremony, everything. It is all what you believe. What you believe is what it is. And so if you believe you have to go through somebody else, you're not worthy to speak to the creator yourself, when essentially the creator is your own higher self. It is like a cell of the God, the creation. You are a fractal, you're a cell of that. So essentially you're going to you, your higher self. And then when you go into everyone's higher selves, that is the universal consciousness. That's where you have everybody talking, everybody's energy. And why you, to me, you want to be higher. I don't think that there's very many souls who want to be in a lower vibration, because it is heavy. The experiences and stuff are super heavy. So, but I swear there was some other things I wanted to say. But no matter what, it seems like, we're on the verge of stuff going down. Like when I sit and listen to people and what they're saying and stuff, and it's, what's really kind of surprising is what a huge reaction this amnesty article, or if there's several articles or whatever, I cannot believe how many people are triggered by that. Like, it is crazy, but I don't know every single person's experience. Like, some people were treated really, really bad from family and friends, so, I'm sure it is a lot harder on some people, but oh my gosh, that has got so many people really triggered. And another thing that they don't stop talking about is Kanye. Now there's so much more coming out. I just don't think about that Tupac and Biggie were trying to they weren't enemies at all, that they were trying to get all of their rappers to go with them, to pull free from the music industry and create their own, because of the corruption behind it. And within 40 hours or 48 hours, Tupac was dead, supposedly. Because supposedly he's also in Jamaica, so I don't know. Hey, all this stuff is such an illusion. I just saw this video. I've seen these videos before where they take these actors and then they show these people from like the 1500s, the 1800s, the same exact face. And I just saw one of those, and in this article it was talking about everybody has these doppelgangers. Like, our faces aren't really, I mean, there is a part of our faces that are unique, but I think it's almost like our eyes and our expression or something. I don't know, because even that, like, I'll have people say they'll see my eyes and they'll remind them of somebody else's eyes. But this this morning, I don't know, I think I saw the one video, the doppelganger one first, but I've seen it is so crazy, because when you have your own face, like, to me, when I was younger, I was like, oh my God, my eyebrows are too arched. My nose is too pointed. My nostrils are too flared. My mouth's too small. It's like you're constantly, oh, it's too much of this. My cheeks are too wide. Everything's too this, too that, too this, too that. But then when you stop doing that and you stop comparing, your nose is pointed as compared to whose nose? Because this is your nose. So whose nose are you trying to compare it to? Like, are you looking at round noses and pointed noses and you're deciding that it's two of something? Because that is what we're doing, is we are just comparing ourselves, and then we think it's not enough or too much, and then we start disassociating our own faces instead of just accepting and capturing our own expression of self, our own illusion of the creation of ourselves. And so then it becomes distorted right away. And so then it is kind of like when you begin to just really accept and love all your features and realize it's all these different features of all your different heritage and your ancestry that all come to life on your face, representing all the coding that is inside of you. And when you come more into acceptance of your face and more of loving it, But, and then, you know, it's your own unique, like your own fingerprint. But then, so I was thinking about that. And then there was this video, and it was talking about when it was showing those actors and stuff throughout time and stuff, when, you know, who knows how long they've been cloning. But, and when something works or something, then there's just so much to all of this whole reality, I swear to God. But, that there is all of these doppelgangers. So are they just repeating all this DNA and putting it everywhere? Because we are this experiment and stuff. Like, you know, there's so much to not know. But when you have these people who look just like exactly like other people, like there's something like each person, I think, I don't know, you can look it up, and then plus all this information is always manipulated, but I heard it such a long time ago, and I can't remember if it was like 3 or 6. Each person has at least, I think it's six doppelgangers on the planet who look exactly like them at the same time. Oh, and this was a girl who was doing this video, and she was talking about, she was an actress, and she said what was weird is she would go and she would do some parts somewhere, and it would be like the certain people. And they'd have these certain dynamics in their households and families. Then she'd go completely across the country or somewhere completely different, and she would start working with this other group of people. She said it was so weird because you'd have people who looked exactly like the other people and had the same almost identical lifestyles or dramas or situations. She said it was the weirdest thing. You know, she said if you travel more and more, you find that more often. Like when I travel, I don't have interactions like that where I'm working with people. I'm just traveling, and I think most of the time when I'm traveling, I prefer to just lay out on the beach or walk around and look at buildings or go shopping and stuff. I don't even really like to just go from, you know, I'll be like 1 or 2 things, like we'll go to the pyramids and we'll go do this or whatever, but you know, I don't like to spend a whole vacation just running from thing to thing to thing and trying to do everything as fast as you can, especially when you've got a limitation of a week. You know, it's so crazy how they've kept us so trapped and so controlled and so limited of being able to go out and experience other cultures and other places and all that. But it's trippy when you really think about that, because there's a whole thing to you being a unique individual, but so many people start feeling like they're not pretty enough and stuff. But there's like at least 6 other people who look exactly like you out there in the world. And I don't know, there's trippy stuff about the whole thing when you just really start looking at things deeper. You know, and there's so much stuff about learning to just love yourself and accept yourself. And it really does get you to be able to accept everybody else. Like, I can accept, I'm like, I can even accept my neighbors that are just so bitter and angry and, you know, violent. You know, that's their thing. They're here to learn from that situation. And I feel kind of sad, you know, when I see people just continue a whole life of ignorance and it not do their healing and not transform. But then, you know, there is a whole thing when you get to the life review that you learn so much. So even when people just seem like, oh, what a sad life. Like, it just seems sad, you know, it's judgmental on my part for me to think somebody else's life is sad, you know. And there is just more and more of pulling into self, and, you know, how can I judge somebody else's existence, somebody else's experience? You know, there is no judgment. We have to just pull back from that more and more and recognize that this world created that. They want us to judge each other. They want us to stay divided. They want us to focus on what's different about us instead of what's the same. And what's the same is what's important. And, they, even with the division, the thing that is so ridiculous is it's so shallow, it's so surface, and so many people just are still so about it. And they don't even understand that they're shallow and surface. That's why I'm saying this very impactful situation that's going to happen, that is going to get everyone's attention, is going to bring everybody into that awareness, into this. It's going to transform. It's going to really wake people up. It's going to really get people to have to face their own demons and stuff. So it is really, oh, and this morning, I did want to say this too. So I had seen a video yesterday of, I've got a bunch of different soap bars now, but I haven't tried them all. But I saw a girl yesterday. I see so many of these different natural stuff. There's so many, man. People who are experts of this stuff are going to be so in demand, I swear to God. But so she said, just put baking soda and water and then wash your hair with that. Well, she gets no lather, no suds, nothing, but just baking soda and water. And then rinse that out, and then just apple cider vinegar and water. And then leave that on your hair for a few minutes, then rinse that off. And that's it. And that's what I did today. So I may, and that is way cheaper. Baking soda and apple cider vinegar. Like, I'll see, like, I'll keep doing it and see if it starts getting all that buildup. And then plus that oily stuff, like the oil slick in our water, in so many videos too, like, of showing that the water towers and all the different places are all got the radiation things on them. They're radiating the water. They're killing the water. I mean, it's so crazy how it isn't just this. They're killing people with everything possible. And I'm so glad too that so many more people are acknowledging the Jamaican crime. I mean, it's horrendous. Like, oh, it's so horrendous. Like, I just really, really hope that this, this is our month, that this is the month that things really do change. And they've got so much stuff built up right now. They've got Joe looking like such a loony fool. They've got, the news, everybody's turning on everybody else. The emotional, energetic thing, like people are leaving social media. People are killing themselves. People are upset. People are, I've got to go save myself. Like, whatever is going to happen, we are going to have to save ourselves. Like, there is some aspect to us having to save ourselves. And I can't even tell you how many people still, when I talk about stuff, they'll be like, well, just sit back and wait for Jesus, because Jesus will be here. Just sit back and pray. That's what you got to do right now. It's like, well, that may be what your guys are telling you, sit back and pray, but that's not what my guys are telling me. And so, if that's how they feel, but I still thought that was such a good point when that girl said that, so while you're waiting on Jesus and he comes back, he comes down and say, what did you do while you were waiting? And you said, well, I just sat here and prayed. So while kids were being killed, you just sat here and prayed. You didn't take any action. Because I have literally people tell me, no, you need to stop. You need to, quit saying things. And who knows if that is like some sort of, paid, I know that they're out there. Right after I was just talking about that on the episode of that chapter where it shows right there how they do the gang stalking and create the freaking public shooter thing. They create it. It shows right there. And so there is this guy who I follow, and I had just noticed, so I don't even know when I started following him, but I just started noticing some of the stuff he had been saying, and he is one of those people. He's the one who I said when he tried to do the garage sale that they showed up. When he put that money in his account, they took it, which he got half back. And the stuff the stories and stuff he tells, but he said, yeah, he was he was in the Air Force like 13 or 14 years. And then he got out and started speaking out about the corruption. And then they charged him with crimes. They put him in prison and have been gang stalking him and trying to keep him destroyed and quiet the whole time. And he said they are definitely trying to do the MK Ultra, and that's what they do so that they can create these. All they do is create criminals. Like, it's all over the place. Yesterday I saw this thing. I was watching this movie, and it was kind of interesting movie. This lady figured out her husband was poisoning her because he wanted her money, and so it was just this whole little story of her figuring it out and her fighting back and stuff. But in this movie I was watching, and it had this person go in, take in their resume or something, and was it that story? This was a different one. Oh, this was that one. I think, I don't know. I saw a couple movies, I think, yesterday. But anyways, whatever I was watching, this person goes in and they take their resume, or it was their cover, it was their reference letter. And so the person who was talking to him said something about your reference letter. They said the reference letter you got is going to, carry you through. Like, you're really fortunate you got this reference letter. And Tucker, remember, he was trying to get his wife was trying to get a reference from Hunter, of all people, to get their kid in like Stanford or something. And so, see, that is this handler kind of moving people through. It's all these little things. When you start catching all these little things, then you start seeing how they made all this work. Because it is a lot for people to wrap their head around. How could they do that? That's way too huge of a conspiracy. But just start paying attention to all the little things they do, and that is one of them. Their little references, their reference letters, and who is, and putting them in different high schools and different different handlers throughout your life and stuff, and then different ones, and not all of them have the same. It is definitely you own that security level information that goes throughout the whole thing. Like, only certain people know what they're doing. Other people are just doing what they're told. And so not everybody, and they have to do it that way, because if they had the people down here seeing the truth up here, they wouldn't have these people down here who would do it. The people through the spectrum become more and more, they get more and more for what they do. So they get like a payback, a kickback. And so it's all a pyramid scheme, and it's all, and it is all the people at the top. And so, and we have been in this complete inversion. And so once it goes the other direction, it's going to just like, it is going to be such a gust of energy. And I feel like it's got to be so close. It's weird. Other weird things too is like the sound around me is closing in. Like, I can't even tell you now how fucking loud the planes are. They sound like they're about to land in your yard. And these trucks out here working, everything is so loud. Just people outside talking. It's like, seriously, is the firmament coming down lower and lower? And if they're sitting there now saying that we have this giant asteroid coming, because when I had done those photos, and so it was back then when I was doing the QHHT, then went to the Reiki and all that stuff. And that was right before I moved here. And then once I moved here, so I had a little bit of background. I just started learning about yoga. I just started learning about Reiki. I just started going into this QHHT. Like, there was a lot of things that were opening up for me in that kind of spiritual development in when I very first started having all my healing and stuff. And so then, there was something I wanted to say about that real quick. Oh, dang it. Shoot, I can't think of what I was about to say. Well, I guess wasn't important. It seemed like it was. It came and then was something. I don't even remember what I just said. I hate to cut off before I even can think of it. Well, anyways, you know, I don't know. All the stuff that I've been saying, like, you just got to keep on healing and working on you, and just increasing your awareness, increasing how you see things and stuff. Because you know, I think that stuff is going to be going down, but you know, just is disheartening, because I've said it so many times and I've felt it for so long. And it's just, it's so strange how long you can feel something and how long it takes to get there. But, you know, I really hope, with how many things we have going and how much chaos there is, and how much it just feels like the energy, the noise, everything is just built up. It seems like there's about to be an explosion. Oh yeah, the Nerubu thing. So that is when when I had posted those pictures somewhere along that way, is where someone started saying about, look up about Nerubu. And so I started looking up about that. And then later on, I was talking about something with that. And that is when somebody started saying, look up about wormwood. Wormwood is Nerubu. And that is a ship. And then you get somebody else starts saying, oh, look up about this. That's the Anunnaki. And then, so it just keeps going and going and going. And then it was, you know, where I did see like this whole thing about the Anunnaki coming back, and that they are in this ship that goes around and around and around. But when there's no space, like what we think, it's not like what we think. It's, some of this stuff is so hard to even comprehend, you know. There's no space, but things are out there, but it's just this plasma. It's not like open space, but it is like a movement through water. And so somehow it goes around us or something. It has, like, they call it like this orbit, you know, like how they tell us like all these planets are orbiting, but this Nerubu one, they're saying like is this 26,000 year orbit or something. But then they started saying, no, that's wormwood. It's a ship, and it's got the Anunnaki, and they're coming back. They're on their way. And that's why they're trying to block the sun, the sky, so that we can't see. And then you have these other people who are showing all of these different planets that are coming into alignment. So that could be like what it is going to be when, you know, the sky is going to open up and we've got an asteroid right there, but it's not really an asteroid. It's really a ship. Like, I don't know. But it's just, you know, pretty funny now how the news is even saying it. But, you know, that is for sure, I think, why they're trying to cover up in the sky. And now, even just thinking about, as soon as I started talking about any truth stuff on Facebook, that I lost, my account was hacked, and I lost that account. So, and then in Twitter, same thing. And that is when I knew I was saying something on purpose. Like on Facebook, I definitely wasn't. You know, I was just like, look at this, look at this. And then Twitter is when I have had all that guilt, and I apologized to Trump, and that's when all hell broke loose on my account on that one. And so, and then it's just been one drama after another with these accounts next door, because I was trying to pass on real information. I lost that account. And then TikTok, already lost that one. I don't know how I have the other one. And that one's always like on at any minute, those can go. I mean, the government now is even arguing, saying it's so dangerous that we're going to take it down ourselves. It's like the reason they want to take it down is because there's so many people on there spreading information. It's out of control. And they've got so many billions that they can't even keep up. I think that's why they go in and police all these different accounts, so they can try and see who's passing what information. They've got like bots out on steroids on there, and then on the live, they police the live. So anyways, I think that they can't even keep up because it's got such a huge amount of people that use TikTok. So anyways, you know, but that's what I was going to say. I was going to say about the planet thing. So I don't know that, you know, the news now is saying there's a planet there, but the sun's too bright. We can't see it good. That's what NASA said. The sun's so bright, we can't see it good. Oh my God. And, but, and then on top of that, to know that it's a fake motherfucking sun that they're putting up there to block it. They are turning it up so we can't look. the other day when I went to get water, and I tried to look up and to get the footage because it was so ridiculous, so fucking freezing cold. And then you go in the sun, and the sun is like melting your skin. You can't look at it. Your eyes are burning off. And so I know that is a part of the whole thing, is to keep us from looking. And it works something with the chemicals and the frequency. Something about heating. I know it has something to do about heating some certain ones up, and for certain reactions and stuff. So anyways, I really talked a long time, but I'm gonna record in the morning before I go pick her up, but then Saturday and Sunday I won't record. It'll be very unlikely unless something big occurs. Then I would probably go live, like if the sky starts opening up or something. Everybody will be outside though, looking for their own sky, because then somehow, I'm sure magically, we will all see the same sky. Anyways, who knows? What if it is all these different ones, and all of them start having different ones coming in? Like everybody starts having like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. And is it gonna be like the awakening, and all these ships are gonna come, and then people are gonna heal, and then if people don't heal, then they're gonna take them? Like, I don't know. I'm so curious to see what's to come. I'm really excited. I wish that we could hurry up and get through this part. God, it's horrible. I just saw, I'll tell this one too real quick. I just saw another video they're trying to scrub. And so I don't know, you can find information about it because they're scrubbing it. But the little girl who was in Texas, who went in the police station, who was kidnapped. And it was this aerosol thing is a big thing. They're using it all over the place. Something about perfume. You don't smell anything in a store or any place out in public. If somebody, I would even venture to say somebody who even walks up to you with a bunch of perfume on, unless it would make them knock out and it has to be on the strip or something. That probably is more than likely. So they probably do have to actually push it up in your face, but they're doing it all over the place, and to kids. And this one, she was at the Wayfair. She was, I guess apparently they have an actual store you can go into. It sounds like it's like a Walmart or something. And because this is happening all over in Walmart. I can tell you, all over the country, I keep hearing these stories in Walmart. But this one just so happened to be at this other place that we all heard about to begin with. And so she is in this store. She's a 14-year-old girl, and she's with a friend. And so she's looking around someplace, and she said somebody all of a sudden came up to her and said, "Here, smell my perfume," and put a stick up to her nose. And as soon as she did, she passed out. When she woke up, she was in another room, and there was a whole bunch of people in the room, and they were all tied up and gagged, all of them. And then they came and they brought some sort of a vehicle. I can't remember if it was a truck or what it was. It seems like it was a train or something, and they transported them all to this other facility. And she said in the other facility, no, wait a second, because there was a part about there's something weird about the store setup that somebody was talking about. Like, there's a weird thing in the store setup. So they have a place so they can go and get people and put them in this room, apparently. But then she said that she was in an auction. They took her to an auction, and she said they were auctioning off kids. And so then she went to the police station, and she was trying to tell them. And the story is just getting scrubbed. Like, it came out, and then all of a sudden it was like... And so anyways, you can look it up, but all the stuff that she was saying, it's all stuff that we already know. I mean, that's just another person saying it's happening right here, right now. This stuff is not stopping. They're doing it all day long, every day. They've allowed more criminals in to do it more often. It is, so things it's just things that gotta go the other direction. Like, it's, oh my gosh, it's just so much murder, so much sadness, and so much pain and stuff. Like, so anyways, just, I know it is hard as it just drags on and on and on and on. And I know so many people just want to give up. So many people just want to kill themselves. And they're pushing so hard to get people to do that. It's so sad how they play on that. And people just don't realize, like, it's a temporary situation. Everything happening is temporary, even when it gets worse, because it will. It's going to get way worse. But that is when it's going to turn the other direction. And so, every worst thing that happens, I always think, oh, it's got to go, it's got to go. But then they just drag it. They don't take us there. They just bring us up and just keep us, on the edge. But we're going to go over. And when we go over, it's going to take us into where we want to be. So, it's going to be a crazy, abrupt, scary thing, whatever's going to happen. But it really is going to make everything so much better. But I still think it's going to be a slow process even through that. It's going to probably really seem all is lost for a bit. It's going to seem like, there's no hope. I do think there probably, when things go down, there probably will be people who are going to just go and, go in the garage and turn the thing on and fill their whole family in the car. There's going to be a lot of senseless things that are going to happen. And it's all, from people just not having awareness, not being awake. So anyways, just keep on trying to point out things to people. Just get them to, the whole thing is, you don't have to try and tell them or convince them or show them all this stuff, because they're not going to be able to understand it. But just I've always said, just point out things and get them to question things. Just get them to question things. Something that then just ask them, what do you think about this? And then if they say blah, 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 then make sure, well, what about this? Get them to be like, wait, what? And they may just go off, just completely like, And, they don't have to figure it all out. Let the universe do its work. But at least then you feel like you're doing something. Because when shit goes down, the people who have abandoned their families, fuck them. They'll never wake up. They're going to feel bad about that, having that kind of attitude. And, but just remember, because the people who aren't awake, when they wake up, are going to be going through some deep, gut-wrenching pain. And, trying to run at them and say, well, I told you so, or you should have, is going to be the wrong thing to do. You're going to, you're just going to keep the chaos going longer if that's going to be your attitude. And I think it's going to be a really hard attitude to carry once the flip happens, because energetically you're going to feel too shitty to try and do that. Over this time, you really have been building empathy and compassion. I think you're going to see it for yourself. It's going to come out when you start dealing with some of the people you used to be so angry at, when you see the pain that they go through and the awakening. So everybody's got their process, and it's going to keep playing out. So just... it's a resilience. Just every day, you just got to find another way to keep going. So be strong, and I will talk to you later. Bye.